Hey guys, it's Amour. Today I'm going to show you how to crochet this cute fire amigurumi. It's Crochet CALCIFER with a sign that says may all your bacon burn. He comes with an X-lock that he can sit upon, and he's made with worsted weight acrylic yarn and also eyelash yarn, which is what gives him that nice fiery texture. If you like Calcifer, you can also find a suit sprite tutorial on my YouTube channel as well, so be sure to like and subscribe. You can also find the free written pattern on my blog amigurumi.com. Alright, what are we waiting for? Let's get started! Here are the materials you'll need. Now for Calcifer, you're going to need a 5.5mm size crochet hook. You'll need eyelash yarn in red and also in orange. You'll also need worsted weight acrylic yarn in orange and the color red as well. Now for our Calcifer, we're going to work with red eyelash yarn as well as worsted weight acrylic yarn in red. You're going to have 3 strands all together, 2 eyelash strands and 1 worsted weight acrylic strand, and we're going to put them together as if they were 1 yarn strand. And we're going to use a 5.5mm size crochet hook. And what we want to do to start is create a magic ring, and I'll have a link to how you do a magic ring if you're not familiar. But for our first round, we are going to do 6 single crochet stitch into the magic ring. So we're going to do 1 single crochet stitch. This is our first single crochet stitch, and then you want to do 6 all together. This is my second single crochet stitch, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now what you want to do is you just want to grab the acrylic yarn and you're going to pull it closed, and it should close the ring tight. And if we count, we should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 single crochet stitch for our first round. Move the tail to the front, and then we're going to use a stitch marker to mark the end of the last stitch in our last round. Now for round 2, our pattern is going to be 2 single crochet stitch and 1 and 1, 2 and 1 and 1, and we'll have 8 single crochet stitches at the end. So in our very first stitch, we are going to do 2 single crochet stitches. Here is our first single crochet stitch, and then into our same stitch we are going to do another single crochet stitch. Then in our next stitch is going to be 1 single crochet stitch, and then in our next stitch is going to be 1 single crochet stitch. We're going to repeat the pattern again, so 2 there. Here is our first single crochet stitch, and then 1 more into the same stitch, and then we are going to just do 1 single crochet stitch, and then in our very last stitch where our stitch marker is, we're going to do 1 single crochet stitches. Now you should have 8 single crochet stitches all around. So if we count, we are going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 all together. Now for round 3, our pattern is going to be 2 single crochet stitch, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, and you should have 12 single crochet stitches at the end. So our very first stitch, we are going to do 2 here, so that's 1 single crochet stitch, and this is going to be our second single crochet stitch, and 1 single crochet stitch in our next stitch. Then we're going to repeat the pattern again. It's going to be 2 and 1. So it's going to be 1 and 2 in our same stitch, and just 1 single crochet stitch in our next stitch. Repeat the pattern again. It's 1 and 2 and 1. We're going to repeat again. It's going to be 1 and 2 and 1 single crochet stitch in our very last stitch. Now we should have 12 single crochet stitches all together. Here's how it looks like in the back. It's a lot more furry, so that's actually going to be the outside part of Calcifer, and this part is going to be the inside part. Now for round 4, we are going to do 2, 1, 2, 1, repeat the pattern all the way around, and you should have 18 single crochet stitches. So we're going to do 1 and 2 and just 1 in our next stitch. Repeat the pattern again. It's going to be 1 and 2 and just 1 in our next stitch, and continue to repeat the pattern all the way around, and you should have 18 single crochet stitches at the end. Now for round 5, we are just going to do 1 in each stitch all the way around, and at the end you should have 18 single crochet stitches. So we're just going to do 1, and our next stitch we'll do 1, and continue all the way around, and you should have 18 stitches at the end. Now we're ready to do our color change to orange. So we are going to get our 3 strands, which is our worsted weight yarn, and 2 strands of our eyelash yarn in orange. I'm going to put them together as one strand. We are going to do a slip knot to prepare it for our color change. Now we're going to go back to our red yarn, and we are going to do a single crochet stitch. So you're going to insert yarn over, pull out, and grab our new yarn, and then we're going to finish off the single crochet stitch. Then we should have our color change. Okay, now we can go ahead and move our stitch marker, and that's going to be the last stitch for the round right there. And then we can also cut off our yarn and move our tail end so they're out of the way. And now for our next round, we're ready to do 1 in each stitch all the way around, and we're going to stay at 18 single crochet stitches but with our new color. So go ahead and do 1 in each stitch all the way around. And here's how it should look like with our new color change. Now we're ready to do round 7, and our pattern is going to be 2, and in our next 8 stitches just 1, 2, and in our next 8 stitches just 1. So at the end you should have 20 single crochet stitches. So that's 1 and 2 in our same stitch, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, and 8, and then repeat the pattern again. It's going to be 2 here, so that's 1, and then the same stitch, 2, and then it's going to be 1 and 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So at the end now we should have 20 single crochet stitches all the way around. Now for round 8, our pattern is going to be a decrease, and in our next 8 we'll just do 1 single crochet stitch and repeat the pattern around, and you should have 18 single crochet stitches. So we are going to do a decrease right here. Okay, yarn over and pull through all 3 loops, and then in our next 8 it's just going to be 1. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Repeat the pattern again. We're going to do a decrease in our next part. So that's a decrease right here. And then in our next 8 stitches, we're just going to do 1 in each stitch again. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And now we should have 18 stitches all the way around. For round 9, our pattern is going to be decrease, single crochet, decrease, single crochet, repeat the pattern all the way around, and you should have 12 single crochet stitches. So here is a decrease, and then just 1 single crochet stitch. We're going to repeat the pattern again, do a decrease, and then a single crochet stitch, and continue to repeat the pattern all the way around. Now for round 10, we are just going to decrease all the way around, and you should have 6 single crochet stitches at the end. So that is 1 and 2, and continue to decrease all the way around. And when you get to the end, we are going to go ahead and cut off the yarn, but for the eyelash yarn you can cut it really short, but the worsted weight acrylic yarn you will cut off a long tail, because we are going to use that to sew the bottom closed. Okay, and so here's how your fire calcifer should look like at the end. Now we're ready to stuff our calcifer, and usually I like to use one of my fingers to put the stuffing in, and then I'll move around my finger to make sure all the spaces get filled, and you can keep stuffing until you feel he is full and firm. And then we are going to use our yarn needle, and we are going to stitch the bottom close. I usually like to go across 3 of the stitches on the bottom, and then I will make a knot to fasten off, and then hide the end and cut the tail off. For the eyes, cut 2 small circles from white felt, and for the pupils you can use 2 6mm acrylic gems, but do not use for little kids as they can be a choking hazard. And then you'll want to use fabric tack to glue on, and go ahead and glue on your eyes. For the gems, an alternative you can use is to use black felt instead. And here is our finished calcifer. We're ready to make his log now. You will need a 5.0mm crochet hook and brown yarn. Now we are going to make a slip knot and chain 2. That's 1 and 2, and in our very first chain we are going to do 4 single crochet stitch. So that's 1 and 2, 3 and 4. We're going to make our loop tight and use a stitch marker to mark the end of our last stitch. Now for round 2, our pattern is going to be 2 in each stitch all the way around, and you should have 8 single crochet stitches. So in our very first stitch we are going to do 1 and 2 in our same stitch. We are going to do 2 in our next stitch, that's 1 and 2. Repeat the pattern all the way around, so that's 1 and 2. And then in our very last stitch we are also going to do 1 and 2, and our second round is finished. Now for round 3, our pattern is 1 in each stitch all the way around, and you should have 8 single crochet stitches at the end. But we are going to go in the back loop only. Before we went through both loops, but now we only want to go in through the back loop, which is this one single loop. That's 2 loops right there, and then just 1 loop right there. So we're going to do a single crochet stitch, and then in the back loop we're going to continue to just do 1 in each stitch all the way around, so that at the end you should remain at 8 single crochet stitches, except it's just through the back loop only. So go ahead and work up all your stitches, and here's our very last stitch. We can move our stitch marker so we can go through the back loop at the end right there. And then we're going to put our stitch marker back, and now we should have 8 single crochet stitches at the end. If we do that, it makes a little ridge for our edge of our log. Now for round 4 through 16, we're going to stay at 8 single crochet stitch, but we're going to go through both loops again. So go ahead and do 1 single crochet stitch in each stitch all the way around, and I will meet you at the end of round 16. So this is how your log should look like at the end. You can go ahead and stuff your log. You want to stuff it so it's full, but don't stuff it too much. Now we're ready to do our last round for this log, and we're just going to decrease all the way around, but through the back loop only. That's the front loop. Now we just want to go through the back loop only, which is the loop that's furthest away from you. We're going to do a single crochet decrease. So here's our first decrease. Then you want to do 3 more decreases, so at the end you should have 4 single crochet stitches at the end of this round. Here is our third decrease right here, and here's our last decrease, and then we can cut off a long tail. We're going to use this tail to sew the end of our log closed, and if we look, we should have a ridge right at the edge, and there's another ridge at the end of our log right there. So we can finish stuffing our log, and then we are just going to use our yarn needle to close the end of our log, and we can make a knot at the end, and then we can hide our end and cut off our tail. We have one part of the log finished. Now what you want to do is make 2 half logs, so you're just going to repeat rounds 1 through 8 only to make 2 half logs, so that we can attach it to our main log to make an X log. So go ahead and make your 2 half logs. here is our finished calcifer ready to sit on his log so he can happily munch away on his log and he won't burn down your house now. Alright, thanks for watching. If you found this tutorial helpful, please do like and subscribe. I plan to come out with a lot more tutorials. Alright, I'll catch you next time. Bye for now.